This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV Hindu.
The VCK and the DMK finalized constituencies among them for the assembly polls ahead. A formal announcement is waited. An adamant CPM says they will not budge from their demand over 18 seats even after an offer of 11 by the AIADMK.
We are pressing 18. We have told them we cannot agree with 11.
The Election Commission intensifies its crackdown on anyone violating the Model Code of Conduct. A turnover of 11.5 crores is discovered. NDTV Hindu talks to a Tamilian stranded in Japan. He recounts his family's long walk back home in a disaster-hit city.
The only thing was I was literally lost my hope because I have not experienced that much of earthquake.
An inspector of law and order in the city hangs himself in a hotel and leaves a suicide note. The case could be handed over to the CBCI.
In 2005 also he attempted to commit suicide. We used to mention in that note, and he said that nobody is responsible and I am responsible myself.
And despite intense political rivalry in the state, Ford's top boss gives the industrial climate in Tamil Nadu a thumbs up.
For me, India is the most competitive small car market in the world by far. And if you can do business well here and be successful here, you can do it anywhere.
You're watching the news tonight with me, Evelyn Matthew. A look at the rest of the day's news as well. A huge explosion at Japan's Fukushima nuclear plant. 80,000 people are evacuated. Radiation levels around the plant go up 20-fold. There's widespread devastation in Japan after the worst earthquake ever and a tsunami. Millions are homeless. Tsunami warnings and advisories are still in force in 50 countries across the Pacific Rim. California and Hawaii escaped major damage. PJ Thomas to file review petition in the Supreme Court against the verdict, quashing his appointment as CVC. The man who allegedly killed Radhika, a college student in Delhi, is arrested in Mumbai. The Mumbai police register a case against the in-laws of college professor Nidhi Gupta, who jumped to her death along with her 2 kids. And after India set a target of 297, the Proteas chased the score with Khalis and De Villiers at the crease. With exactly a month left for the state's assembly elections, the DMK Congress combined remaining undecided over their seat identification. The VCK, for one, has settled into getting constituencies that they will contest from. VCK Chief Tinivalavan has confirmed that the seat identification between the DMK and their party has been settled, and only a formal announcement needs to be now made on the names.
All the 10 constituencies we have identified and finalized. Our chief of the alliance will declare tomorrow or day after tomorrow.
So when it will be?
Tomorrow or day after tomorrow.
Which constituencies are you asking?
No, the chief of the alliance will be declared. He will declare.
Is it getting delayed, sir?
No. We have finalized.
Well, the VCK chief, just a very brief moment of his conversation there. Joining us live from the DMK headquarters over the phone line is our reporter Salim, who's been tracking those developments. Salim, do we know if the VCK has got the constituencies they have asked for? While the VCK chief walked out, was he walking out with a smile on his face?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, VCK Tinivalavan very clearly said that the stalemate between the VCK and the DMK is over now. And he very clearly said that he got the constituencies which he demanded. The 5-member Congress committee is unlikely to visit the DMK headquarters today. However, Mr. Tinivalavan landed here and met the DMK leaders. Meanwhile, the DMK chief arrived at the party headquarters, Anna Arivalayam, and started interviewing candidates for the proposed constituencies. The deadlock between the DMK and its main ally Congress is still on, and due to this, sources say that DMK was so far unable to identify constituencies for the VCK, PMK and the other allies. But it took a U-turn when VCK chief Tol Tirumalavan arrived here. He met the DMK chief and announced that the stalemate is over and that identifying constituencies is over between the DMK and the VCK. Not to forget, the VCK had contested the 2006 assembly elections as an ally of the ADMK, but joined the DMK campaign soon after, and they were allotted 10 seats for the upcoming assembly polls. Meanwhile, the stalemate between the DMK and the Congress continues still. The Congress members were expected to convene talks with the DMK, but they didn't arrive. Also, sources from the PMK say the seat identification between the PMK and the DMK will be sorted out today itself, Evelyn.
Right. What about the other small parties apart from these major parties? Are they also likely to settle seat identification soon with the DMK?
Yes, Evelyn, they are also likely to settle seats with the DMK, but the DMK, but sources from the DMK say that they are more keen in settling the seats with the Congress because the Congress is their main ally. They are contesting in 63 constituencies.
Right, now that the Congress and the DMK are still in that deadlock, are they likely to meet tomorrow perhaps for that fifth round which is still pending?
The party cadres and the leaders say that they are hoping that there will be a meeting between the Congress and the DMK, but fingers crossed.
Right, fingers crossed. Is still that uncertainty looming large there. Thanks very much indeed, Salim, for joining us with your inputs. Meanwhile, the CPM State Committee headed by senior leaders met at their party headquarters today. Following this, the left parties appeared at Jayalalitha's residence, but the CPM State Secretary is not too happy with the 11 seats offered to them by the alliance head, as 7 of its seats are, it's in fact less by 7 seats than what they had asked for, while they have pledged that they will continue to push for the 18 seats. They have confirmed that they have no plans to float a third front.
Our party is negotiating with the ADMK team for seat sharing. They have offered 11. We are pressing 18. We have told them we cannot agree with 11. The party state committee has decided to continue the negotiation with the ADMK. Then our party state committee is going to meet on 19th to review and take a decision.
In other news, the former Puducherry Chief Minister N. Rangaswamy called on the AIADMK chief at her Poise Garden residence today. The politician, who's just launched his party, the NR Congress in the Union Territory, said the meeting was only a courtesy call and was not about any alliance formation for the assembly elections, contrary to speculation. He reiterated his party's ambition to develop Puducherry. The Union Territory goes to polls along with Tamil Nadu and Kerala on the 13th of next month.
In Pondicherry, we have started our new party, All India NR Congress. And courtesy call, madam. Nothing about the alliance and other things, just courtesy call, met our madam.
Meanwhile, Big Brother watching over these crucial poll preparations. The Election Commission is cracking the whip across Tamil Nadu with an eye out for malpractices. A turnover of 11.5 crore rupees was discovered from the IT raids. Despite constant objection from several political parties, surveillance cameras will be installed at polling booths across the voting zones. The Chief Election Commissioner, S.Y. Qureshi, and 2 other election commissioners will come over to the city during the beginning of next week to meet political parties, the top cops, the collectors and other officers. They will take stock of the law and order situation and fine-tune measures to ensure free and fair polls in the state, where stakes are high for both the ruling DMK-led alliance and the AIADMK-led coalition.
So it was handed over. நிறையா இடத்துல நம்ம ஃப்ளைங் ஸ்குவாட் ஸ்டாட்டிக் ஸ்குவாட் போட்டுக்கோம் செக்கிங் பண்ணுறோம். அதில் இதுவரை சுமார் 15 கோடி சீஸ் ஆகிருக்கு மொத்தமாக. மதுரையில் நேற்று 5 டிஃப்ரெண்ட் இன்சிடெண்ட்டில் 3.5 கோடி சீஸ் ஆகிருக்கு. அதே மாதிரி ஏற்கனவே ஈரோடில் 50 லட்சம் சீஸ் பண்ணாங்க. அந்த 50 லட்சம் யார்கிட்ட சீஸ் பண்ணாங்க, அவர் வீட்டில் ரேட் பண்ணும்போது இன்கம் டேக்ஸ் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் 11.5 கோடி ரூபாய் கேஷ் சீஸ் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க.
Moving on, the corpse of an inspector of the Mylapore police station was found at a hotel in the city today. The cop who left a note committed suicide by hanging himself in the room he was lodged at for the past fortnight. A diary and the note are now in possession of the Deputy Commissioner in charge of the zone. The Roypeta Assistant Commissioner is currently probing the case. Rajashekar, the man, took charge as the Inspector of Police in charge of the Law and Order Division on the day of the famous double murder case reported in Mylapore. The man, who is a native of Tiruvallur, is survived by his wife and a 3-year-old son. The CBCID is likely to look into this case as well.
See, actually he has committed suicide and he has left 2 notes. One note is addressed to his parents, where he has expressed that, the second time he committing suicide. I think 2005 also he attempted to commit suicide. We has mentioned in that note, and he said that nobody is responsible, and I am responsible myself. Plus he has requested that whatever amount he gets from GPF and all can go to his kids for education and all. Second note he has left in the name of Joint Commissioner, saying that that when he joined, immediately after that double murder case took place, and basically he was shown that he could not do much. And he has mentioned, that basically that former IC was there, Isaac Paulrao's name, and on station right and Tyagarajan, some estates may be taken and all. So that has to be looked into exactly what he meant. And then again he has further narrated, that he is, nobody is responsible for his death, he is committing suicide and all. So what we have done initially, that we have given this case to be investigated by Assistant Commissioner of Police, Roypeta, so that senior level officer is examining the facts.
Up ahead on the bulletin, NDTV Hindu brings you a phone conversation with a Tamilian stranded in Japan who was caught completely by surprise.